Well, here's a story for you. When Francis asked for a gift from his parents, he wasn't expecting a lion cub, but that's exactly what he got. During their time together, Francis and Singh formed an incredible bond that stood the test of time.
Incredible beast. Inspired by this story, Francis's granddaughter Victoria has written The Lion Who Came to Stay, and she joins us now to tell us all about it. Good morning to you, Victoria. Thank you for your time. So how on earth did your grandfather get his mitts on a lion?
Good question.
Hi guys. Yeah, so when my grandfather was 7 years old, he was sent to boarding school in England because his parents were working overseas in India. And when they were coming home one time, they wrote to him and said, you know, would you like a gift from India? And he wrote back and said, please, can you bring me something alive? And my great-grandmother was at a dinner party with a Maharaja, and she told him this anecdote. And the Maharaja came back and said, well, why don't you take my elephant? It can even play the mouth organ. And she actually seriously considered that for a moment and then thought, well, how would I feed an elephant in London? Where would I get sugarcane? So she said no, and the Maharaja came back and said, well, my lioness has just given birth to a litter of cubs, so why don't you go and choose one of those and take it home to Francis? And she wrote in her diary, this was impossible to resist. And so she went along and saw the litter and chose the one with the longest paws and brought it from India to England for my grandfather.
Wow, what a story. The story of how Singh ended up at London Zoo has become something of legend. Tell us that yarn.
Well, yeah, so Singh was a much adored family pet. He was super gentle and sweet and really just like a cat. So apart from he loved to be bathed, so my grandfather used to bathe him and groom him, and the family even taught him how to wipe his face with a tea towel after he'd had dinner. But so he was completely tame, but obviously they couldn't keep a lion forever. So they approached London Zoo and said, you know, would they accept a donation of a lion, which they did. And most animals would arrive at London Zoo, you know, sort of sedated in a crate in the back door. But my family called a London black cab, and they all kind of course, and they all squished into the back seat together and arrived, you know, at the front entrance of the zoo and led Singh in on a little lead.
So was Singh fully grown when he was living in your grandparents' house?
No, he was just a little one, yeah, just a little lion cub.
It's such an unbelievable story, isn't it?
They get bigger, don't they?
They do.
Victoria, you have just released a new book, The Lion Who Came to Stay. I mean, I'm going to ask you, why did you decide to write it? But I think it's pretty obvious, right?
Yeah. Well, it's actually the third book that I've brought out in the past 2 years, but this one's obviously really special to me because it is a family story, and my grandfather's still alive. He's 97, and he told me this story hundreds of times when I was little. It was my favourite story, and now I'm a mother. I've told it to my daughter since she was a little one. She's now 8, and she adores it as well, as do all her friends. So it's just a story that connects really well with people, and I've just been blown away by the reception. So when it came out, it was actually the best-selling book at stores across Sydney, and people have written to me from all across the world telling me how much they love it, how much their kids love it, and I think it's just a magical story that's quite unexpected.
Just quickly, what have you got your daughter as a pet or plan to?
Oh, don't, yeah. She wants a dog. We have cats and fish, but yeah, she's desperate for a dog and a lion probably as well.
Wow, what a family you come from. Hey, Victoria, thank you so much. We really appreciate you coming on our show and chatting about this. You can grab yourself a copy of The Lion Who Came to Stay and Victoria's other stories at all major book retailers, in-store or online. So there you go.
Yeah, growing up, what did I have? Bunny rabbits and guinea pigs.
Did you really?
Lion is much cooler.